Hi guys, Marika here with another coloring and card tutorial. Today I am going to color Merida, which was one of the mermaids that was recently released by Make It Crafty. And as you might know, I love mermaids, so I had a lot of fun playing with this. So today I decided to switch out my skin color, and I'm going in with a darker skin color. And you actually seen me use this color combination before because I used it on a very recent card for Little Miss Muffet stamps. For the skin coloring of this card, there's a few things that I wanted to kind of talk about. One of them being that the E47 that I'm using, mine is a little bit sticky due to actually cleaning the nib with isopropyl, which you really shouldn't. If you're gonna clean your nibs, you should use the blending solution, the colorless blender, because it has a special composition and it works awesome with the Copic. But if you color or if you wash the rest of the pen, you can use isopropyl, but keep it away from the nibs. So that is one of the reasons why you will see later on that I'm having an issue blending at her back. But when it comes to doing skin, I basically just think about it the same way I would think about any kind of coloring, and that is I try to look at what is a rounded shape and how would I do a rounded shading on it, and what parts do have a drop shadow. So in this case you have like arms. The arms are rounded. Her hand is kind of a flat hand, but she still have a little bit of a shadow, while she have drop shadows from the hair and underneath the arms and so on. I will make a video soonish, which is a slowed down version, or not with this image, with another image, kind of talking about how I do coloring, skin coloring, what I think about when I do skin coloring. But there's a few small tips here. One of the things I kind of wanted to mention also is that I shouldn't have gone in a second time with the colors, and that is due to the darker colors you use, the easier it is to kind of build up too much pigment, and that is happening here with the E47 and the E57. And when that happens, when you go over the pen again, this is also kind of the sticky surface. When you go over the pen again, you get spots. You get it spotting, and her back have that kind of spotting, which is a little bit sad that it ended up being that way, but that is how it is. But so when you do, the lighter the color is, the less pigment there is in the pen, and the more you can layer the pigment. Also, this also have to do with what kind of papers you use, how hard-handed you are with putting down. If you're very light-handed with your markers, you can usually come away with more layers. And also I'm doing a few of the kind of tip-to-tip techniques in the end to try to kind of balance up the blending, just to get the blending a little bit better, because these pens, the first layer they blend pretty good, the second layer they really don't fully do that. It's a little bit harder to get a good blend, but I do like the color scheme. I do like her the colors of her skin. So and then I'm doing her hair, and this is going to take a lot of time. This is one of the things that I both love and kind of get annoyed with. Some of these images, I love coloring hair and I can do it for hours, but coloring hair for a video makes the video very, very long. But I've heard that you like it. Hopefully you do like it. A few things when I do hair, I try to kind of map out in a lighter color where I want my shadows. And why I use a lighter color is because then if you kind of figure out that you did it too much, you can just color over it. big tip. I do that for skin also. I go in with my lightest skin color and kind of map out how I want the shadows to lay to see if I get the dimension that I want. I'm going in with a T0 here. That is just a big mistake. It wasn't meant to be T0. I was supposed to take up the BV23 and I took up the BV20. So when I went from the BV20, I wanted a lighter color, so I picked up the T0. But you can't really see it in her hair. That happened. Things happen. I really love doing hair with the BV20 series because there are a few in the series. I think it's 4 pens in the series, which makes it kind of easy to blend. And I love easy blending. And the BV20s is one of those that have easy blending. So it's also one of those colors that you can match with a lot of other colors just because it is so much toward the grayish spectrum that it is a cold color and it's easier to kind of match with other colors, just as the E40s, for example. They have a very neutral tone about them and therefore they are easy to match with other colors. And the E40s also have a whole bunch of pens in the series, which makes it also easier to get good blends, because the smaller steps there are between the markers, the easier you get the blend. So that's also a tip. When I'm doing the kind of shadows, when I'm unsure about how I want to shadow things, I go to the Make It Crafty store and I look at the examples. Zoe is so good at coloring, so good at putting shadows down. So that was how I actually learned how to do Copics at the beginning. I went to my absolute favorite bloggers, which was among people, it was Zoe. The Market Geek is also one. Jennifer Dove, and also Rhea from the Passionate Paper Creations. They were my absolute favorite when I started out, and they kind of, because I think it's because they use very, very bright colors, and they do a lot of shadowing and a lot of shading. A lot of Swedish colorists that were around when I started, they didn't do that much shading. They didn't they had much softer palettes, and I love the deeper colors, and therefore I kind of went to those girls. And that is one of those things when you're learning how to do something, find artists that you really, really love and then see how they do things, or try to figure out how they do things, because many of the things I did was mostly just watching how they did things on their cards, on their blogs. It wasn't always tutorials, it was just watching their images and then trying to replicate them, and being very obvious that I'm doing it. So if I were replicating someone and I was sharing the images on the internet, I told them that I have done it and I linked to their blogs, because that is also important when you are learning. It's okay to copy as long as you admit to copying. It's one of those kind of not told rules. The best way to learn something is to copy, but you shouldn't take credit for something that wasn't your creation. You might have done some changes to the creation, but I try to give credit where credit's due when I do my creations. But yeah, now I got very serious. Now we're gonna go into the happy again, because we are doing mermaid scales. Mermaid scales are very simple to do. Yes, dot. And when I shadow a mermaid tail, I do darker dots where the shadows would be, and then smaller dots where the lights would hit. And then I kind of do go from dark to light. I usually have between 4 or 5 pens to do this, because then it's easier to have the dotted shadows onto the scales, because then you can have like 3 lighter ones where the light should be and darker ones where the dark should be. For the background, because we are coloring, or I am coloring the background this time, I'm actually kind of measuring from the edge, because I kind of figured out that this is where I want my line to be. Measured from the edge, used a liner or a ruler to make the edges straight. But I still wanted them to feel like organic. It's a beautiful big word for things not being completely straight. To kind of just make rounded edges and just color in the background. And I start off with the B000 for several reasons. One, using a lighter colors, laying down, you can always change it because you don't have to worry about sticking to it. The other thing is the B20s that I'm using have a very, very cold tone. By laying down the B000, which is a little bit towards the greener spectrum of colors, I actually alter the B20s to be a little bit towards the greener, towards green, and also then getting it to match up a little bit better with the bluish green tail that she has. So I started out with the B000, and then I'm going in with the B21, 24 and 26. And just doing a gradient with the dark at the bottom and the lighter going upwards. I'm very inspired by a whole bunch of different artists out there, which does this. They do beautiful mermaids. I'm on a mermaid kick at the moment, and they do beautiful mermaids, and then they do these kind of backgrounds in different shapes and forms. And I really like how soft it is, but how it kind of drags your attention towards the design, the mermaid in this case. So I'm then going out, blending up the colors, and I'm actually layering twice, because then I don't get as much brush marks. But I'm not 100% worrying about the brush marks on this, because I'm going to go in and do something really fun, which I'm coming in here. I'm going in with the colorless marker, and I'm doing like circles in different shapes, like dotting it in different shapes. And it takes a while for it to kind of show up, so I'm doing a little bit of small details on the rest of the creations, and then I'm going back with my white gel pen and kind of circling all of those little dots and making bubbles on my background, which is a really cool effect. And I've been wanting to do this for a long time, so I had a lot of fun doing that. And when the image is finished, I am going to go in and I'm going to do some cutting. And I had a hard time kind of figuring out how can I keep a certain amount of white border. So I decided I took my ruler and I butted it up so that I get a right angle and line it up with the blue, and then I kind of measure it to be 3/4 of an inch to the white edge. So again, I'm going in with my ruler, putting it so that the metal part of the ruler is about 3/4 of an inch. I think it's 5/8 of an inch maybe, that I'm using. And then I kind of, it's 5/8 of an inch that I'm using. Then I'm butting it up, making sure that it is in the right place, and then I just cut. So I have a 5/8 of an inch white border around all of the corners. Then I'm going to make my own card base. So I'm cutting it down to be as wide as my image is, and then I'm scoring it to be as long as my image is on the back side. So I'm going to use the image that I colored as the front page of the card. And all I do is just score it, and then I'm filling that up with tape so that I have a lot of tape that is holding it down and leaving it so it's very sticky, and that I can just then line the image up onto that little tab, and that will kind of strengthen the image and make a nice card. So basically just a card base. To finish the card off, I want to have the sentiment "Have a magical day" stamped on the inside. I first try it out on a scrap piece of paper so that I get a good impression. Then I open up my card, and in some Lawn Fawn Deep Sea ink, which is a dark blue, I'm stamping the "Have a magical day" sentiment, which is also from a Lawn Fawn set, on the inside of the card. And that made the card for today. I hope you like it. If you do, please thumbs it up and share it with your friends. If you have any questions, just comment down below, and down below you find all the details of the materials that I've used, including a list of Copics. And here is 2 other videos I have done using some Make It Crafty images. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye!